Hey guys, it's JK Wargames, and today we're looking at A Wing and a Prayer Bombing the Reich. This is by Locknload Publishing. Before we start the review, if you like my videos, make sure to like, comment and subscribe. Press the bell notification, you'll never miss another video. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so let's look at some of the main components you get in the box. So we've got our box. What you get is this player map, which has got all your locations, where your targets are, where you're going to bomb. You get cards, mission cards, and these are targets. So you can see here we have a flak damage rating, how difficult the mission is. This number represents how difficult the target is to bomb. Victory points that you'll score, how many bombers you can take and how many escorts you take. Now you shuffle these and you pick one at random. Really nice produced cards. Then we get your tokens. Now I'm not going to show you the whole token sheets, but this is one of the bomber tokens. This is its normal side. If it's damaged, it goes to a damaged side. You can see it's damaged and its stats are reduced. So I'm not going to go into what these stats mean at the minute. We're going to do a little tiny playthrough in a minute. So you get that. Then you get your rule book, which this is the 2.2 version. This is full colour. Tells you how to play the game, lots of examples. I found this a very, very easy rule book to follow. Very clear. Then you get your charts. Now, there's quite a few charts in this game. So each one has a combat table, a campaign table inside here. We've got modifiers. These are our tables for combat. We then get campaign selection, formation events tables. It seems quite complicated at first, but it's really not. Then we get this, the sequence of play. This is your best friend. Basically, this takes you step by step on how to play the game. And you get one for a 2-player version, but we won't be looking at that today. Then we get our formation card, which I'll show you now. This is the formation card, and this is where you place your bombers. And you can see you've got a lead element, a high element, low element, and tail element. And your bomber counters are going to go in here, and your escorts go at the bottom, and any enemy fighters go up the top there. Then we get our briefing card, which I'll show you. So this is the briefing card, and on the side here you have a mission victory point track. So for each mission you do in the campaign, you total up your points, and then at the end of a mission you adjust your campaign victory points here. And there's modifiers for the missions and for the campaigns. And then here at the top you have a ready section where your bomber crews who are ready go here, and ones that have been damaged and are not ready go here. So you can see what ones are available to you for the next mission and what ones are not. So those are the main sort of components you get. The other thing is, this is your mission token. So this token here is the main token you use. It's got two sides. So this side means you've got a tight formation, and this side means that you've got a loose formation, something's gone wrong. But basically, this is the token you're going to use on the big map, and I'll show you how we do that now. Okay, so how the game works. We've chosen our mission. We've drawn a card for row N. Now, you can see we get to take 6 bombers and 4 escorts. So what we've done is we've moved our bombers onto the formation card, and we have our 4 P-47s. So we put our card in the active mission box. Now I'm not going to play the whole mission, I'm just going to show you a brief thing of how the turn works. So basically at the start of the turn you move your formation one box at a time. So we're looking for row N, which is here. straight down. So I think the easiest thing for us to do is to move straight into this box here. Now, what we have to do is we have to go through a list and check for each box. So basically, you move your bomber formation, which we've done, then you have to adjust for lead bomber formation. So if you lost your lead bomber, you would have to adjust that. You then do a loose formation check, which we don't need to do at the moment. Any damaged aircrafts you then check. You then do your escort fighter range check. So our escort fighters, P-47s, will stay for 6 turns. So we'll put them in the first box there. So we have our P-47. So he moves 1 box as well. Then we would do a flak sight attack check. Now, if you're in a red box and it's got one of these flak guns, you so any box with a flak gun, you would have to check for flak, but the box we've entered doesn't have that. So the next thing you do is a formation event check, and this is where you're going to start to roll your dice. So what we do is we get the formation events table, and you count the number of boxes you're away from your base. So we are only 1 box away, and then we look here, 1 box away. We're going to roll on this table, this chart here. So we're going to roll 2 dice. We roll a 5. So we look at the table, 1 box away. 4 to 7 is a lady luck counter. Draw a random lady luck counter. So we will do that now. So this is a lady luck counter. It says ignore any crew reduction rating. So if we get into any battles, we can ignore if our crew are reduced. So that's a formation check. Now the formation event check, lots of things can happen. The higher you roll, the more likely you are to be intercepted by fighters, and that's when things start to get interesting. So after that, we would conduct air combat if there was any at all. We now repeat the process. So we're going to move to our next box. Now you can't just jump down here, you have to follow the black lines. So we're going to go to that box there. And again, we go through the whole thing. Any formation adjustments, loose formations, damaged aircrafts, we don't need to do that. There's no flak. So we're going straight again into formation event check. So we'll roll 2 dice. 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've rolled an 8, but we are 2 boxes away this time. So let's get our chart again. We're 2 boxes away and we've rolled an 8. An 8. We have to do a formation check. It says roll 1d6 plus lead bomber's crew performance rating. So we roll 1d6, which is the 6, plus our crew, which has a +2 performance rating. So we're on an 8. And it says 1 to 3, we've been a loose formation. 4+, we're still a tight formation, so we're fine. There's no combat. We now move on. So then, we'd move to this box. We'd do exactly the same thing, but let's speed this up a bit. Let's say we get to our target. Now, because we've gone into a red box, there's a flak sign. So we have to roll 1d6 to see how bad the flak will be. We roll a 2, so it will be light flak. What we do then is look at the damage table, the combat table, sorry. So, for instance, if it's light, it's between 10 and 11, or 12 and 13. You look at how many bombers you have. We have 6 bombers, and we go down to light. Let's say it's 12 to 13. There's 3 dice rolled per plane. So let me take you over to where the bombers are and we'll roll this flak attack. So here's our bombers. Now we have to roll 3 dice for each bomber. We're over the target and we're getting attacked by flak. So the first guy we'd roll. Now any 5s or 6s are a hit. So we roll there. The first guy is fine, there's no 5s or 6s. You then move on to the next guy. We've rolled 2 6s. Perfect. Well, not for us, but for the example, it's perfect. So that's 2 hits. What you do then is roll 2d6, 5, 6. So you roll your 2d6, we have a 6. And then you take away the structure rating, which is the green number on the token, which is a 4. So 4 from 6 leaves us with 2. We then check the damage table for the bombers, the flak damage table, which is here. So you can see here up the top it says 2 or less is no effect, so that bomber's fine. Now let's just say he took light damage. We rolled, well, our total was a 3 to 5. We then turn him over. So if he took light damage, he's turned over to his damage side. Then, according to the table, we have to roll a d6. Now on a 1 to 3 there's no effect. On a 4 to 6 he is damaged. We roll our dice and we've rolled a 5. Now this means we're damaged and we now have to go over here. We roll 1d6, 1 to 3 is no effect, and a 4 to 6 will be a dropout. So you roll your dice, it's a dropout check. Now a dropout check is a single d6 roll. If you roll between a 1 and a 3, your aircraft stays in formation. If you roll a 4 to 6, the aircraft will drop out and you've lost him. But luckily we've kept him, that's fine. So let's have a look at how it would work if we got attacked by enemy fighters. And then what we'll look at is how you actually bomb the target, and then we'll sum up the game at the end of the video. Okay, so let's say on the formation event table we rolled enemy fighters. We're now going to be attacked by enemy fighters. What we then do is roll a dice to see what type of fighters we get and how many. So let's just say we're being attacked by BF 109s and we've rolled a d6 and 3 of them are attacking. Now what you also roll for is to see how many aces these guys get. So let's say we rolled that they get 1 ace. You then get an ace token randomly, and this German ace will add a +2 to their combat and a +1 to their performance. So let's just say the ace is inside that plane. We then get our escorts, because they're available to us, the P-47s, and we roll for aces, but we get no aces. Now we have to decide how many of our escorts are going to engage these guys. So I'm going to send 3 in. So what we get is 3 P-47s against 3 BF-109s. Sorry, that's the wrong token. And how this works is our escorts will fight the fighters. So fighter on fighter. There'll be 2 rounds. Then, if there are any fighters left, they will move through to attack the bombers. So, we won't go through the whole thing, but I'll show you how the attacks work. Basically, whoever has the highest performance goes first in the combat. So this BF-109 has a 3, but remember there's an ace, which gives him a +1. So he has 4 against our 3. So the German BF-109 will attack first. Now, for attacking, pretty simple. Use that yellow number, which is a 4, and the ace gives us a +2, so that gives us a 6. So we have 6, take away the structure, which is the green number. So 3 from 6 leaves us with 3, which means we roll 2d6 and we get a +3. So the German ace rolls, he scores a 4, but he's got a +3. So he scored a 7. What we do then is look on the fighter table. So the fighter combat table you can see a 7 or less is no effect. Now if he had scored an 8 to 12, it would be a damage, and a 13 plus is destroyed. So let's say he actually scored an 8. We now flip our P47 to its damaged side. He's on fire, he's in trouble. But he now gets to attack back, but he's got reduced stats. So we now have a 2 take away 2. So it's a 0, there's no modifiers. So he rolls a straight up 2d6 and he scores 5, 6, 7. Well, we know a 7 has no result. Then we would go down the line for each plane. So the German fighter would attack the P47, the P47 would attack back, and we go round for 2 rounds of combat. But let's say that these fighters got damaged, destroyed, and the Germans were fine. Then what happens? These Germans are going to fly through for the bombers, because that's really what they want to get rid of, is the bombers. So how we do this is we roll a dice on a chart to determine who they're going to attack. So you can see here, random bomber selection table. So we're going to roll a d6 for the ace. He's rolled a 4. So a 4 means that he's going to attack the high element, because we have 2 elements, number of elements, there's 2. He's attacking the high element. Then what you do is roll a d6 to see where he's going to attack. So I've rolled a 1, which means on the left side. So this ace is going to attack here, this bomber on the left hand side. Then you'd roll for the other fighters. Let's say he attacks up here and he attacks this center guy. Now when it comes to attacking bombers, the bombers always get to fire first. So this bomber is going to fire at the ace. So again, we're going to use the 3, the yellow number, because it's our combat number. But our crew could modify that, but they don't. So we have a 3 take away 2. So we're going to be left with a +1. So the bomber attacks and he's got a good roll. He's rolled a 10. +1 is 11. So we look at our fighter damage again, and we know that an 8 to 12 is damage. So the ace has now been damaged. So his counter's flipped. Then he will attack the bomber. And again, just like against a fighter, but this time he's got reduced stats. So he's got 2 plus his 2 here, remember. So he's got 4, take away 4, so he's got no modifiers. He rolls 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we look on a different damage table for a bomber. We look on the bomber combat table. Now a 7 or less is no effect. But again, like we showed earlier, if we had light damage or heavy damage, we'd have to roll. And if you get heavy damage and your bomber's already damaged, you're destroyed. And then you see what happens to the crew. If you get 13 plus, you're destroyed outright. So that's how combat works. Now, what's really cool about this is I got 1 box away from home and I was jumped on by fighters and my whole lead element was destroyed. So don't think you're safe even when you're 1 box away from completing your mission. Right, so let's look at how we actually bomb the target. So when we come to bomb our actual target, we are attacked by flak again. So we would go through that, but only 6s would damage us, not 5s and 6s. Then once that's been completed, we then go on to the actual bombing of the target. Now how we do that is we add up our bombing rating on all our bombers. So the red number, 4, we add them all together. And in this case, we've added them up and we've got 22 because one of our bombers has been damaged. Then what we do is get the combat table, we go to 22 and we cross-reference on 1 because we've obviously only got one target. So 22, 1 gives us 7 dice. So we're going to get to roll 7 dice, and what we need is 4s, 5s or 6s to cause hits because we have clear weather. We haven't had any cloud cover come in, and that only comes in due to formation event checks, and we've been lucky. So we're going to roll 7 dice and see if we can cause some damage here. Okay, so 7 dice. We've rolled them. We've got a good roll. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 5 hits there. Then what we do is look at the target damage table. So the destruction rating of this target is 5. So 5. We have 5+ hits. We go across, heavy damage. We receive full victory points for the target, which is brilliant. If we'd got less, we would have got light damage. If we got less than that, we would have got no effect. But we have destroyed our target and we then gain 10 victory points, which is perfect. So that's how that works. Then it's not over because you now have to get back to your base and land safely. So what you do is you go to the next box, you go through all the steps again and hope that you don't get intercepted by fighters, because what happens is when you get to your briefing card at the end of the mission, you're going to tally up your victory points, and if you have been destroyed, any B-17 bombers destroyed is a -2 on your victory points. So any enemy fighters you destroy, you're going to gain +1 or +2 depending on the type of fighter it is. And then once you've done that, you will total up your campaign victory point track, and on there it will say if you were successful or not. I'm not going to go into detail about it, but what I'm going to do is sum up what I think about this game. I think it's fantastic. It's got that tension where you're moving to each box and things are going fine. You go through about 3 boxes, nothing's happened. Then all of a sudden, you get near the target, you start getting hit by flak, fighters coming in, and all of a sudden your bombers are getting destroyed left, right and centre. So even if you plan well for it, you just can't help what happens because a lot of it is random. Some of the things I don't like is maybe that there are quite a few charts that you have to keep looking at, but after a couple of playthroughs that really doesn't matter. It's quite easy to remember. And then the campaigns are 1942, 1943, all the way up to 1945. So there's a lot of gameplay here to be had. Definitely worth getting if you're into air combat of World War II. It's probably not got the depth of something like Target for today, but this is definitely a game where you could sit down for an hour and play a couple of missions and have great fun. So I hope you've enjoyed this one, guys. As always, make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.